Good morning, Shalford family. I wanted to introduce our week of guided readings and prayers for Holy Week, for Passion Week, as we move towards Easter. And today's theme is sin. We see sin enter the biblical narrative in Genesis chapter 3 when Adam and Eve thought they could do life apart from God. They thought they didn't need God. They thought they could be independent of God. They began to doubt God's good commands for them, God's provision for them. And they disobeyed God. And that disobedience was much bigger than just not eating from a tree. It was a declaration that they thought they did not need God to live. And so the natural consequence of that was death. And we see throughout the whole Bible story, death and sin and evil and suffering pervades. And that's a strong message for us right now where we are. We see the effects of living in a fallen world as we are all at home because of sickness that's sweeping the globe. But we see the effects of sin in our own life. And not just that someone else sinned, but that we sin. In our hearts, we believe that we can do life without God. And that leads to death because only God is life. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, if Jesus is the life, and we think we don't need Jesus to live, then naturally we're turning towards death. And listen to me, listen to what one of our readings is this morning in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. And you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that's now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived, in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. But God, if you keep reading after our readings for today, and you see in verse 4 of Ephesians chapter 2, it says, But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. The good news of Easter is that while we were dead in our sin, Christ took that death, took that sin for us. And the truth is that we've all sinned, and we all still do sin. We still try to live in our flesh and think we have what it takes to live every single day. But I pray this Easter that we would remember that it was our sin that put him on the cross. Remember the song, How Deep the Father's Love for Us. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. It was our sin that put him on the cross. So I pray today that we wouldn't dwell on our sin to the point of despair, to the point of being depressed, but we would dwell on our sin long enough to realize that that's what Christ took. That's why he died for us almost 2,000 years ago, to pay the penalty for our sin. But we can't live without God, and the good news is that we don't have to. God in his grace and mercy has made us alive together with Jesus, because Easter reminds us that Jesus is alive. I hope that encourages you today, and I hope you tune in tomorrow for some more thoughts on our daily readings and prayers. So Shalford, bless you. I love you. You are sent.